Hello and welcome back actually to part two. We're working on problem 3-1B. We already did our journal entries for the transactions and we posted them to the ledger. We're using T accounts here. So what we need to do next is go ahead and prepare an unadjusted trial balance. Very easy to do. Basically all we're doing is listing all the accounts that we have in our ledger up here, and we're going to list them with their account balances. Okay, so I just came underneath the ledgers that we have, and I merged and centered about 6 accounts. Okay, so we need to put this unadjusted trial balance in proper form. So the name of our company here is Hong, I believe. Hong Karate School. Okay, we are doing the unadjusted trial balance. And this is for month ended what is it, June 30th, I believe. Yeah, June 30th, 2001. Did they give us the year in here? They do not. So we'll say it's June 30th, 2019. Okay. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to merge and center. Oh, sorry. I'm going to merge and center these first 5 accounts. Left align. And I'm going to click and drag down. Again, just an arbitrary amount because I want to make sure I have enough room for all my accounts. I need a debit column and I need a credit column. Okay. And I want to center these debits and credits, and I want to make sure that these numbers are in proper accounting form. So I want to have my commas, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my decimal places. Okay, so first account we have is cash. Now we need to figure out what our unadjusted cash balance is, right? So remember how we do that. Cash is an asset, increase with the debit, decrease with the credit. Debit's the normal balance side. So I'm going to calculate my balance. I'm going to say equals, open parentheses, and I'm going to add up all of my debits. Close parentheses, close parentheses, minus, open parentheses, and I'm going to add up all my credits. And I have a cash balance of $3,829. I need to do this for all my accounts, right? Well, accounts receivable, we use that a lot. So I'm going to put my balance down here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add up all the debits. Subtract out my credits, and I see that my balance in accounts receivable is $1,400. Now, luckily, all the other accounts, karate's the other one that needs, karate fees is the other one that needs totaled, right? So I'm just going to add up all my credits here. And I got $4,200. So I'm going to start listing my accounts right now. Keep in mind the adjusted trial balance, we list all the assets, all the liabilities, then we list our stockholders equity accounts, common, and don't have retained earnings yet, common stock, then we list the revenues and then the expenses. So I'm going to start off with cash. I already know what my balance is, right? I just calculated it here. It is $3,829. Next, I have AR, and I need to figure out what my AR balance is. Well, I already figured it out. I just need to post it, right? $1,400, okay? The next asset is prepaid rent, which is $64.50. Next, I have prepaid insurance, and that balance is $876. The next asset I have is equipment, which I know is $47.50. So I'm going to type that in. Or actually, I like Excel, so I'm just going to link them up. Okay. The next asset we have, accumulated depreciation. Well, we didn't book a adjusting entry for that yet. Okay. So we're going to leave it as is. We're not going to put it on our trial balance. The reason why is because it doesn't have a balance, and I don't want to have a zero in there yet. So now we can go to our liabilities. Well, we have accounts payable, and remember, liabilities have a credit balance. Our accounts payable is $4,000. We have unearned fees of $855. Usually helps if you can spell. And I'm going to link that up. Common stock, $10,000. And again, I'm just going to the ledger. Oh, there it is. And I'm putting it in my unadjusted trial balance. Next, we have fees, or karate fees. We know the balance in this account is $4,200. And then we start listing our expenses. We have ad expense, which is $525. Oh, I made a mistake already. Notice the ad expense, I posted it to the credit column. Do expenses have a normal balance of a credit? No, they have a normal balance of a debit. So I'm going to make sure I fix that. Okay. The next expense we have is repairs expense. We listed that. And what's the balance of the repairs expense account? $275. The next expense we have is wage expense. We paid them $950. We already did the journal entry. We're just creating our unadjusted trial balance here. And then that seems to be the only expense that we have an account for. Okay, so right off the bat, I need to make sure that this thing balances. So I want to foot this column. I'm going to click Auto Sum. And that's going to M36. Oh, sorry about that. The problem is I have my, there we go. I just need to make it smaller so I can get all the cells. There we go. Okay. So we could see here that my balance of debits is $19.05. Let's auto sum all my credits. $19.055, debits and credits balance. Pretty much did everything right. Okay. So instead of doing a worksheet and having our adjustments here, I want to make sure we know how to do the journal entry. Because if we could do the journal entry, I think it's a little cleaner. If we could do the journal entries and post them to the accounts, using a worksheet is super easy. Okay, so I want to make sure I have a little bit more room here. And they tell us that in C, prepare the unadjusted trial balance as of June 30th. Did that. Now, in D, we need to prepare adjusting entries for rent expense, insurance expense, depreciation expense, utilities expense, karate fees earned. They tell us that depreciation expense for June is $150 and estimated utility expense for June is $320. We need to post the adjusting entries. Very easy to do, right? So the first one we need to do is rent, okay? So this is good. We always do our adjusting entries at the end of the period, which is 6/30, okay? I need to adjust rent, right? So to figure that out, we need to look at our prepaid rent, and we see, that's why it's always important to make sure that we put in our explanations, right? 6 months of rent was paid in advance for $64.50, okay? So I need to adjust my rent, right? So this is a prepaid adjustment that we're doing. Remember, I always debit the expense, credit the asset. So I'm going to debit rent expense, and I'm going to credit prepaid rent. Okay? Well, for how much? Well, I know that the total rent was $64.50. I'm going to divide that by 6 months. That means I'm paying $1,075 per month. There's my debit and credit. Again, I want to explain what I'm doing here. Adjusted, or we're going to say recognized, 1 month of rent expense. And I'm going to put in the calculation, $64.50 divided by 6. Okay? Now I need to post this. So I'm going to go to my rent expense, and I'm going to post that debit, right? I have a journal entry here for a debit of $10.75. I need to post that to my ledger, rent expense ledger. I need to now go back and adjust my prepaid rent. Well, I need to credit prepaid rent for $10.75. What's my new balance of rent now after the adjusting entry? Well, we had $64.70 minus the credit of $10.75. $53.75. That's the new balance, or the adjusted balance, for prepaid rent. Okay, the next thing we need to do, remember, always skip a space. The next adjustment we have to do, 630, says that we need to adjust insurance expense. Okay, no problem. I can do that. This is a prepaid adjustment, right? I'm adjusting my prepaid. So right off the bat, debit an expense, credit an asset. Well, we're dealing with insurance, prepaid insurance. I'm going to debit insurance expense. I'm going to credit prepaid insurance. Okay? For what dollar amount? Well, I need to go back and look at the transaction. Oh, I paid in advance 12 months of insurance for $876 for the year. I need to recognize 1/12 of that. So I'm going to say okay, equals 876 divided by 12, $73. That, if my math is right, should be my insurance expense for 1 month. So I need to say, what am I doing here? What's the explanation? Recognized 1 month of insurance expense. And again, I can put in the calculation, 876 divided by 12. I get $73. So I need to post this now, right? I need to update these accounts. We're doing our adjusting entries. Remember, this is an adjusting entry for prepaid expense, right? We're recognizing the expense to match the revenue that expense helped generated. When did the cash happen? We don't care, because we're not doing the cash system, right? We're not doing a cash basis of accounting. We're doing the accrual basis of accounting. So I'm going to go post this, right? $73 to insurance expense. Well, here's my insurance expense ledger. I'm going to type in my $73. I need to credit prepaid expense, or I'm sorry, prepaid insurance for $73. What's my new balance now? Well, very simple. 876 minus $73, 803. Okay? Next thing I need to do is to adjust depreciation expense. Now they tell us depreciation expense is $150 for June. Great. On 6/30, I'm going to debit depreciation expense for $150 because that's what they told us. I'm going to credit the asset. Well, remember, we never touch that equipment account. The equipment always has to reflect the cost that we originally paid for it. So we have that contra asset account, accumulated depreciation for $150. Now I post these. So I'm going to go find my depreciation expense account. Here it is. Debit 150 is posted. I need to post the credit to accumulated depreciation of $150. Okay? Then the last one, they tell us that, hey, an estimated utility expense for June is $320. Post that to the adjusting entry. Okay? So here's probably what happened in the real world. In the real world, probably on June 29th, we got a bill for utilities. We need to recognize this expense to match it with the revenue that was earned in June, but we're not going to pay it till later, okay? That's probably what happens in the real world. Or no, that is what happens in the real world, excuse me. But here we're saying, we're doing adjustments, okay? We're going to do an estimate, right? That estimate is probably based on prior months' utility bills, okay? So what we're going to do is we have a accrued expense. Remember, when we have accrued expense, we need to first debit an expense, credit a liability. So I'm going to debit utilities expense. Bear with me here, I apologize. That should be an X. Okay, sorry. Utilities expense for the amount that we estimate, $320. Okay? I need to credit a liability to show that I have an obligation, or I'm recognizing the fact that I have an obligation to pay for my utilities. Excuse me, so I'm going to credit AP. Actually, no. I'm going to credit utilities payable because that's what they told us to use for $320. I need to post these now. So I'm going to go to my utilities expense account. There it is all the way at the end. I'm going to post that debit of $320. I'm going to go find my liability that says utilities payable. I'm going to post that credit of $320. And I'm done. I did my adjustments. Now I need to do an adjusted trial balance. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this, right? I already have it. Why should I reinvent the wheel, right? The only catch is it's not unadjusted anymore. Now it's adjusted. Okay, adjust the trial balance. And I'm going to do the same thing, right? Meaning I need to make a spot so I can list all my accounts. And I need a debit and credit column. Just putting these in proper number order. And I'm going to type DR, CR. Okay? So, right off the bat, I know, did my cash change? Nope, I didn't touch my cash. I know that. So the cash balance still remains the same, right? It's still 300 or 38.29. I'm going to carry that over. Okay. AR did not change, right? My accounts receivable, I didn't hit it my adjusting entry. Equals my $1,400. Okay. Now, prepaid rent. I adjusted that. I definitely adjusted my prepaid rent, right? I recognized 1 month of rent expense. So what is my new balance now? Well, I go to the ledger and I see that my new balance is $53.75. The next thing I have is my prepaid insurance. Prepaid insurance balance, guess what? Did change. I know that, right? My prepaid insurance balance now is $803. There it is. Okay. The next account that I have is my equipment. Well, my equipment balance did not change, right? I know it's still $47.50. However, I have a new account here that I need to add, accumulated depreciation. Prior to the adjustment, it was 0. And I didn't list it because we didn't even use that account. But now we have it, so I'm going to put it in. So accumulated depreciation, and I'm just abbreviating here. It has a credit balance. It's a contra asset account. I see in the ledger it has a T account, or in the T account or the ledger it has a credit balance. So I know that in my adjusted trial balance, I better have that in my credit column. Okay. Next is unearned revenue. And in those adjusting entries, we forgot one. We forgot to adjust unearned fees. And you might be saying, well, how do you know that? Well, I didn't put too much detail in our journal entry on June 7th, right? But they tell us in the problem that we received a check for $855 from a local company to conduct a special 3-session class, right? The 3 sessions will be held on June 29th, July 6th, and July 13th. $285 per session. What month are we doing this adjusting entry or these adjusting entries? At the end of the month. Did we earn any of this? Yep, we sure did. So I need to go ahead and make sure that on 6/30 I make my adjustment, right? What did we do originally? Originally we said that I had cash, I got paid cash, and I have an obligation to provide somebody with a service. I provided $285 of that service. I earned it, right? So the adjusting entry to recognize deferred revenue, I need to debit a liability. Specifically, I'm going to debit unearned fees for $285. I'm going to credit revenue, or karate fees rather, in this example, for $285. Okay, I need to post these. Let's make sure they're posted. So my unearned revenue is changing. I need to post that debit of $285. What's my balance now? Well, the balance that I still have to provide is the difference between $855 and $285. I still owe these people $570. Okay? I need to post this $285 of fees that I earned. So I'm going to come to my karate fees account. I'm going to book that credit of $285. My adjusted balance now for karate fees is $44.85. 44 , 44 , 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44, 45. 44 Let's go back to the trial balance or the adjusted trial balance. I have unearned revenue or unearned fees. What's the new balance? Well, the new balance was $855, but now it's $570. Okay. The next account that I have is my utilities payable, right? I didn't have utilities payable before because I didn't recognize that expense prior to the unadjusted trial balance. But I did my adjustments. I need to reflect that that account balance has been changed or it's been updated, right? So what is my account balance for utilities payable? It's $320, and I post that. The next thing we have is our common stock. Well, we know, and it really helps if you can spell. There we go. Common stock. We know the common stock account did not change. It's still a credit of $10,000. So I'm going to put that credit to common stock in my adjusted trial balance. What's the next account we have? Well, it's karate fees. That did change. Prior to the balance, it was $4,200. Now it's $4,485. So I need to reflect that updated balance in my adjusted trial balance. So I just linked this account or this cell with that cell to show that karate fees went up and they are now $4,485. What do I have next? Well, all my expenses, right? Did my advertising expense change? Nope, did not. I didn't adjust that. So the balance of this account of advertising expense remains the same. What about repairs expense? Nope, that did not change as well. So I'm going to keep that balance to show that, hey, nothing changed. But I do have some new expenses that I booked, right? I got my ad, my repairs, and my wages. Ad, repairs. Oh, forgot my wages. Sorry. Do that. Sorry. Repairs expense is $275. My wage expense did not change in this example. And it's still $950. Okay, so I have all the original information that I had. I'm doing my adjusted trial balance. I'm updating these balances. Ad expense, repairs, and wages were not touched. But I did get some new expenses. Rent expense, right? I had to adjust my rent. So I need to show in my adjusted trial balance that I have recognized rent expense. And that account balance is $1075. The next account is my insurance expense. So I'm going to go to my insurance expense ledger. I'm going to type that account name in my adjusted trial balance, and I'm going to transfer that balance of insurance expense of $73. Okay. Same thing with depreciation expense. That's the next expense I have. I need to make sure that this account ends up in my adjusted trial balance. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. And notice on my adjusted trial balance, I have depreciation expense. I need to carry over that, or I need to post that balance from the ledger to the adjusted trial balance. And I did that. And then the last one we have is our utilities expense. So I need to make sure I get utilities expense on my adjusted trial balance. There it is. What's the balance? Well, if I go to the account or the ledger, I see it's $320. And I now have my adjusted trial balance. Not done yet. I need to foot these two columns, my debits and credits. I need to make sure that they equal. So I'm going to click Auto Sum, add up all my credits. I get $15,525. I'm going to add up all my, oh, I know why that didn't work. I get 1925. Something's not right here. Okay? So let's think. What can we do to figure out where we went wrong? Okay, first thing to do is to make sure I have all my accounts listed. Do I have cash, AR, prepaid rent, prepaid insurance, equipment? Yep, good. I'm good. Unearned rev. Oh, look what I forgot. My accounts payable. So, when I look at this and I say debits and credits don't equal. So the first thing that you want to do is go back and re-add. Make sure you added everything correctly, okay? That's the first thing. Second thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you posted the debits and the credits correctly, right? Do I have something in the debit column that should be in the credit column? I did that pretty quickly and I realized I didn't, okay? But then I went back and looked and said, I forgot an account. I forgot my accounts payable. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to insert and shift rows down. Merge and center, left align, okay. And I'm going to make sure that I put in my accounts payable. And my accounts payable has a balance of $4,000. The adjusting entry did not affect that. $19.25. My adjusting trial balance balances. I left that out on purpose because I wanted to demonstrate that if you get to the bottom and your debits and credits don't match on your adjusted trial balance, that's okay. You can fix it, right? Don't have a meltdown. I've had students before that just have a meltdown and be like, I can't figure it out. Well, calm down, relax. Let's figure out what we did wrong, right? We've learned the process so far. We know how to do our journal entries. We know the debits and the credit sides, right? Maybe something happened, just made an error and put something that should be a debit in the credit column or vice versa, okay? Maybe we accidentally left an account out. Case in point, the accounts payable. Fixed my mistake. Very easy to fix. Debits and credits equal on our adjusted trial balance. We're ready to move on, okay? So that's the second part, or that's actually the end of this chapter of problem 3-1B. Your homework says to do problem 3-1-6. And 3-1-6 is just doing your adjusting entries. I'm not going to go through that because I think we pretty much hit that pretty hard. But if you have questions when you get to there, please text me. I have no problem re-explaining a journal entry if it's not clear. You just need to let me know, okay? So good luck. You can now go ahead and do your Chapter 3 homework. We're going to come back once you finish your Chapter 3 homework. Come back, and we're going to look at Chapter 4. And Chapter 4 looks at the balance sheet. So we're going to look at the balance sheet. We're going to get into some really cool analysis of how we can take the balance sheet and analyze it and what it tells us about the company. So tune back in for that one.